everybody, welcome to my channel, and this is the second video in a series of process videos in which I am creating an October journal or an October daily, if you will. I'll put a link to the first video in the description box. So I have already kind of got an idea of what I want to do with the first 3 pages, and I've got a list of prompts that I've scribbled down here. It's not quite complete and nothing is in any type of order. It's just random thoughts of things that I want to accomplish or document for the month of October. And so it's a good guideline or a head start for my journal. So this first page here, but it's going to be a pocket, and I want it to be a dimensional pocket because I know that I'm going to be including a ton of journaling, and I'm going to be typing out on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and folding that up and sticking it in the pocket. So I needed some dimensions. So what I've done is I've taken some craft foam and cut it into approximately 1/4 inch of a strip, and then cut those down and glued them onto the 3 sides as you see here. And so this is ready to go, but I don't want to decorate this page just yet because it's going to have a lot of dimension, and that will be kind of difficult gluing the pages onto the back. So the first thing that I did was find a piece of scrap paper, and so I just glued those top corners together, trimmed off the edges, and then rounded the corners and punched my holes. So I think this page is also going to be a pocket, and so I have for my pocket piece another triangular scrap, and so I'm just going to butt that up against that corner there. I've already trimmed off those little pointy ends, and so my pocket's ready to go. Well, sort of. You can see that I punched a hole in there. This is what I have to work with. I am down to the nitty-gritty of the scraps that I have left, and so I will have to make do. So I am thinking that because this is setting across from this page here with the orange polka dot, that I need a little bit more orange over here. So I have some leftover flowers from the last project, and I think I'm just going to glue these two together. And all right, you guys, so I have a huge mess on my desk. This is going to be quite the project. The October dailies always are, right? Anyway, I wanted to show you what I did before I glued the flower on. I did glue some paper on the back side where that hole is, and then I glued the pocket on and rounded the corners, and then I glued on the lace, and so there we go. So now I am ready to attach everything else. And I'm still not sure what I'm putting in the center of the flower, so it's fine. I can just leave it as is for now. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that on. All right, and then I also have another little flower that I'm going to glue on right here. And then I also have these tickets that I cut out from the paper. And I also used my little mini pinking shears to do those little edges there. And these are by Fiskars. But anyway, I attached little mini staples on there with my Tim Holtz attacher just to give it a little bit of interest and some dimension. And I'm going to glue these onto here like so. And then I punched out a number 2 with the orange paper. I have little bits of scraps of this left, not much. And I'm using these letters and numbers from Elizabeth Craft Designs, and they're like stitched. They look stitched. And I also punched one out of the craft foam and glued that together so it'd have some dimension. And I'm going to go ahead and glue that number 2 right there. And I have a little note here that said decorations, so that's where I'm going to stick some tags in there with pictures of some decorations and some journaling. And then I also added some hole reinforcers with this that I got from Elizabeth Craft Designs. This is from their Christmas planner from 2022. And so that's page 2, except for the little centers there. So I wasn't happy with my orange cardstock, so I decided to go ahead and tone it down by dipping it in some vintage photo in the spray kind. And I just sprayed that into some water and let the paper soak for a while, and I blotted it down with a paper towel, and then I soaked it again. I did that 2 or 3 times until it came close to the color of the bag. It's not as bright as it was, but you can see that it's still not quite as muted as the orange with the paper collection, but I think that's as good as it's going to get. And so I went ahead and laid that down, and you want to lay those base pages down before you start adding your dimensional pockets and your lace and whatnot. So go ahead and lay, page 1 and 2 down before you start adding your lace, and make sure you got your holes punched. Unfortunately, my paper goes right to the middle of my holes. In hindsight, I should have made that just a little bit wider. And then you can add your flowers and whatnot. So I'm ready to go ahead and add my dimensional pocket, the letter H pocket. And I'll talk a little bit more about the letters in the next video. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start decorating now. So I decided I wanted to create a rosette to go behind the brad that I've chosen to place on the card. And you can see my set of brads here. They have yellowed terribly over the last 10 years. And so, but I found this cute little state fair ribbon type looking embellishment. I think it's going to be really cute there. So to make the rosette, I'm just going to take a piece of tulle that's approximately 1¼ inches wide. And after the fact, I realized that was way too wide. So you want a piece of tulle that's, I want to say, close to 3/4 of an inch, and about 10 inches long, maybe. It's better to cut longer, and you can always cut it off if you realize you have enough than to have too short of a piece. But anyway, I made a fairly large knot in my thread, and I'm just going to pull that through there till it catches. And then I'm going to make a running stitch, which is basically going up and down with the needle through the fabric at an even distance. The shorter the distance, the more tighter your gather will be. The looser gathering will be if you have a longer stitches. And so I'm just going to continue to do that until I get to the end of the fabric. So now I'm just pulling the needle through the original stitch that I made with the knot, and then you can see I cut a little bit off. I had too much fabric, and I'm just going to make a knot by running that thread through the 2 edges of the fabric that I've sewed together, and then just making a loop with the thread and running my needle through that loop to make a little knot. And then I'm just going to kind of reinforce that knot and that stitch and just make it tight. But you can see that my rosette is way too large, so I ended up trimming around that. So I've already started the next page, and I just doing this for the sake of time. So on the bottom of the bag here, I have this cute trim that I got at Joann. Oh, I want to say a couple years ago. I don't know if they still have it there, but it's this Maker's Halloween trim. So maybe you can find it elsewhere, but I just love this, so cute. And I just made sure I put some kind of adhesive or fray check type thing so that it wouldn't fray at the edges there. And then I've gone ahead and added a piece of ephemera and this spider web. And this is just something I cut out on my silhouette. And then on the back, I added this glittered trim just to finish off that look of the trim that's already there. And then I took a piece of this Halloween border and just attached it to this hinge right here. And then I have this die cut that was given to me in a swap. I got a couple of them, and I just cut a couple pieces off and put them here and here. And for number 4, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. So on number 3 is going to be what's inside the bag. Number 4 is just going to be a standalone page by itself. So I've got this absolutely darling picture of my grandsons. So this was clear back in the month of August, but I had bought them each a Halloween outfit. And so the little guy there, the baby, his is a little big on him because he's just, I mean, he's barely a month old. I know he looks bigger in the picture because I kid you not, I am not exaggerating. He was born 2 feet tall. I mean, his mother was so big, we thought, oh, for sure she's having twins. They kept assuring us it was one baby, but I thought she's so big, and no wonder. This little guy was all scrunched up in there, was sticking out in her tummy because he was 2 feet tall. Anyway, and then I have here for my number 4, this die from Elizabeth Craft Designs, and this also came from the December Daily Kit of 2022, as well as the one that I used before, the whole reinforcers, and this stamp as well. So I just cut out the numbers and put the number 4 in the center there, and there's a die that makes this little circle punch as well. So I've used that. I just don't have it out here. I don't want it to get lost. And so I've used that to create my little 4 here for the page, or for the day. And so I don't take it, my October dailies, super literal, because especially being an empty nester, and you know, my days aren't filled with you know, Halloween all the time, and I feel like as long as it's a memory that has to do with October or Halloween, I'm okay with putting that in here. So that works for me, but I don't have to take it super literal. And then on this one, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, at least the outside here. So I'm going to put this cute little witch from the chipboard sheet that came with this collection. So I'm going to put my little witch, I think about right there. And these are sticky backed chipboard pieces, but the sticky part on these chipboard pieces never really very good. So I've got to add some glue to that, so make sure it stays on there permanently. And then also I have some foam stickers, and I've got my little 3 here, and this one seems really super sticky, so for now I'm just gonna stick it on there. Yeah, so there's my number 3. So I've already finished my page 5, and it's pretty self-explanatory. I just wanted to tell you how I created my number 5. So I just did this on my Word program. I created a black circle about 3/4 of an inch. Then I added the white 5 in the center and printed it out. And then I took my 1/2 inch circle punch and I just punched the center of the printed circle. And then I went ahead and punched a couple pieces of black cardstock to give it some dimension, and then just glued that to the center of this Prima flower that I had in my stash. And then on the other side, for day 6, I've got my page prepared, and I'm thinking that I might document my favorite childhood movie. And so I have these ghost reinforcers from Elizabeth Craft Designs, and my little photo mat here ready to go, and I wanted to tie in some of the white on the ghost, so I've got this ribbon trim here. And then a really fun thing, I have these little number charms. And so I've got my little 6 here on the top. And then I also found this cute little trick or treat charm. And so I thought that would just be really fun to put on the top there. And so that is my page 6 ready to go. Alrighty, so I'm going to be making a shaker for my little journal or daily, and I thought that I would place it inside of this glassine bag. And then my idea was to put a picture and some comments on the little treat or snack that I'm going to be making with a new recipe, and put that on the back of the shaker. If that doesn't work, or if it's just too small, I will think of something else and maybe put a card in there with it or something. However, this is what I've got so far, and I thought I'd just show you my process. And I'm using this die from KS Crafts, and I got this on Amazon. I'm just going to go ahead and use my art glitter glue. And then I've got my acetate here, and I cut off the stem piece because I really just don't need that. So I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on here. Sorry if I'm out of frame there a little bit, just trying to see the little pieces there. I don't really need glue on the stem. Okay, and then I'm just going to take my finger and kind of rub my finger along and get rid of those little, puddles of glue, because I just need it to be tacky to adhere to that acetate, and I don't want the acetate or the glue to be spreading all over. Maybe I'll try and do it this way since this is the way I cut it out. I'm actually just using my eyeglass cleaner. I've just never been able to wear contacts, and so I always have one of these handy, but it comes in handy when working with stuff like this. I hope I got enough glue. If not, I'll have to just try it again, but all right, it seems like it's gonna stay. Yeah, it's not wanting to pull off when I do that, so I'm just gonna set that aside and let that dry, and maybe it'll just adhere really nicely if I let it dry. Okay, so now I've got my foam piece here, and I'm going to be placing this piece of cardstock on top of the foam. And the reason I do that is because I just feel like the acetate adheres better to the paper than the foam. And so I just want another extra layer there. And also it'll give it a little more thickness. And then I'm going to adhere this to my base, and I'm using the spun polka dot paper. I didn't have enough to cut out the full pumpkin, but I think it's going to be okay that this stem is cut short because that's as far as the paper went. It really doesn't need to be there. I'm going to be putting another piece behind it, a heavy duty piece of cardstock, just to make that really secure. So what I do want to do though is, because I've got all this black paper and then this white paper, I think I'm going to ink my edges with black. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and glue this on. I know this is a tedious process. So I set that aside to completely dry, and so now I'm going to glue these small pieces together for the jack-o'-lantern face. And so I have a piece of heavy-duty cardstock and then a 65-pound weight linen cardstock that I'm going to use for the top of the pieces. And I'm just going to glue those together to make them more sturdy. All right, so now it is time to fill the shaker. All right, so I have this mix that I got at Michael's, these sequins and large glitter pieces. And so the bats that came in this are just too large to go in my little sections. And so I'm going to pull those out. And so I'm just going to sprinkle a few of these in here. Okay, I think that's going to be good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the glue to this here rather than the acetate. Okay, I was just checking to make sure there's no layers that want to flip up and come loose. So far I think that's going to stick okay. I do need to let it dry and then and then check again. But I'm gonna, in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and put my face on. I know it's really only probably gluing on these ribs of the pumpkin, but that's okay. Anyway, I would shake this up, but I really just want it to dry a little bit longer. And so now I've got to figure out what kind of little twine or whatnot I want to put at the top there. Okay, so I debated on whether or not to put this little tag on here because it was a little longer than the ones I used before, but I just really wanted to add a little something more to the top. And so basically it's just a sticker from the sticker sheet, and I used my powder to take away the sticky. I rounded the corners. I mounted it onto a piece of black cardstock that I also cut a little larger and then rounded the corners also. And then this is one of the pieces of chipboard, and it's a little larger than the ones that I had used before. So I just felt it needed something more, so I've added my little flat back pearl. It's quite dimensional, that one. And then I wrapped some twine around the back, and just to give it the appearance that the tag is actually tied on. And then I just tied a bow and glued it on. It's not actually looped through and tied on. It's just has the appearance of that. And so that is the back. I did add some marker to the back of the chipboard star, just so it wouldn't look that raw chipboard, and I might have to go over that again. As I was putting the glue on, it kind of took some of that off. So, or I might, cover it up with something. I don't know if I want to add something to the back. The other shakers I did, I added tulle on the back, and so maybe I'll do something like that again. So anyway, so that's my little shaker, and I want to see how it's going to fit in the bag. Hopefully it fits after all that. Yeah, I think it's going to fit okay, and I've got to keep in mind that the rings are going to be here, so it's going to fit okay. And then also, before this page is finished, I want to add number 7 somehow onto the page. So I have my number 7 prepared. I used a few Elizabeth Craft Design dies, including this circle, the number 7. I also used the stamp the same as I used on the number 4. And then I also used this ticket die. And there was, with the paper collection, a bunch of border strips shaped like tickets. I just trimmed this down and glued it onto this larger ticket. So I punched a hole through all of these with my pokey tool, including the bag, and then I've just wrapped some twine through there and tied a bow. And then on the back side, I've added this little sticker that says, "I put a spell on you." And that's just to keep that bag from ripping there where I poked the hole. And then I've also used some hole reinforcers, these pumpkins from a Halloween set of Elizabeth Craft Designs, and then these squares that I used on the previous page. And my shaker's dry. I think this is so fun. I've never done anything like this before, putting a little shaker in a bag in an album. And so I think this is going to be a fun idea. I'm hoping I can put the journaling on the back, but if not, I'll just add it to a little tag or whatnot and stick that in the bag as well. And then I'm just going to hold that shaker in place with this paper clip. And there you go. I can't believe that my first week is almost complete. All I have left to do is add a couple pictures and some journaling. And I would love for you guys to hit that like button and subscribe so you can join me for my upcoming videos. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you next time. Bye.